Inside America's Boardrooms, the informational show for board members and corporate secretaries. Brought to you with Knowledge Partners, Diligent, PwC, Center for Audit Quality, Spencer Stewart, the Conference Board, and corporate board member, along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, Donnelly Financial Solutions, and the Society for Corporate Governance.
Welcome to this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter, the CEO of Boardroom Resources and the co-founder and editor-at-large of Corporate Board Member Magazine. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. We're filming here in New York at the Conference Board Studios. And today we're going to be talking about corporate boards. Is your whistleblower program effective? And joining me is someone who knows a lot about this topic, Matt Shelhorse, who's the partner with PwC's Forensic Services Practice. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, TK. Appreciate being here.
So obviously this is a program that seemed to be born out of Sarbanes-Oxley and sort of, kept going as far as a whistleblower program. And we need to take a look at it again on what's happening. So can you provide this sort of update on the state of the whistleblower program, what you see in companies today?
Sure. Obviously, having a whistleblower program is an important element of a compliance program, any compliance program that a company may have. What's surprising, we see at many companies not having a sophisticated program in and of itself, or not having a formal hotline or a mechanism for reports to be raised or allegations to be raised. When there is a program in place, I think companies may be focused more on the process and may be focused on some of the tools. How do we intake some of these allegations? How do we respond to some of these allegations? And I think some are missing an opportunity to really optimize the information that's available through that channel. And what is that information? It's the trends that are out there in the business, some of the challenges that the business might be facing, where there might be growth opportunities, et cetera. So, a lot of times I think there's a chance for them to really look further within this information source and really optimize what they're doing with it.
I would hope that there aren't too many that aren't aware of the importance of having a whistleblower program, but certainly the SEC, when all this stuff came out, there were some huge payouts and examples of their incentive program, which I was worried about whether that would stop people from approaching the problem internally and go immediately around, to the SEC, hopefully to take advantage of a big payout. But where does their program stand today? I haven't seen as much publicity on big payouts, but maybe it's just because, the press isn't writing about them anymore.
Right. No, the program is alive and well. I mean, it's in its 7th year and going strong. The SEC, from reading the public press, is firmly committed to the program, is actually looking to enhance and amend the program and potentially make it broader, more applicable in different situations from an award perspective. The fact is 2018 was a record year. It had the highest number of awards, more in 2018 than in all the previous years combined. The number was about $170 million roughly. And the number of tips that are coming into the hotline are staggering. It's over 5,000.
Oh my gosh.
And being an accountant, we love to crunch numbers. So if you think about it, that's 14 per day that are coming in. And it's a variety of reasons, insider trading, self-dealing, FCPA, you name it. But the program is definitely working. And there's been some cases out there that are challenging the way that the anti-retaliation provisions may or may not apply in some of these cases. So it looks like they're trying to drive that in a direction where it only applies if you do go to the government with a report. So I think from a compliance program perspective, it's a fine balance then to how do you really incentivize people to bring information to you within the company. And that's something that folks should really be focused on strongly.
Yeah, well, I can see that. Again, it gets to my point about they're almost incented not to go up through the channels internally, which is not, I don't think, healthy from that perspective.
Exactly. A couple other stats, TK, that I think are interesting too. Looking at the reports and the allegations from 2018, looks like 67% roughly led to a new investigation. So new matters, new information being brought to the government. The remaining could have been an acting or an existing investigation that was just added to by this new report. 69% of the reports came from company insiders. So either a current or a former employee, which is what we were talking about.
Right.
And interestingly, even when I saw it, I was surprised. We do a lot of work globally, but 72 foreign countries were the origination of these complaints or these allegations. So when you think about it, it's the US SEC and our whistleblower program, but this is being broadly accessed, which is a very interesting point.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those are FCPA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably a fair bit.
Yeah. So let's get to the meat of what we want to talk about, and that's sort of covering what the important parts are that a board should focus on to make sure that they have an effective whistleblower program. So, Matt, what do you think are the things that we want to pass along to our audience?
I think the first thing is, living in a complex global world that's fast-paced with a lot of moving parts, it's not realistic for a company to think that they're not going to have a crisis. Inevitably, there will be some sort of crisis that arises. I think the trick is managing that crisis as best as you can so that you can emerge stronger from it. And I think that takes a little bit of a mindset shift around compliance and a little mindset shift around how you view hotlines and these types of allegations. I think for management and board of directors, I think what I've heard often is having no reports to the hotline is a good thing. And in reality, it might not be. And I think, sitting in a board chair, I think my interest would be making sure that the culture of the company really fosters an open line of communication, trust, and transparency so that people feel comfortable using the hotline. They feel comfortable raising allegations. They understand that hopefully there will be a response to the allegation and something will actually be done. And I think if from a board perspective, you can look at management and make sure that those things are actually being done, you can take a little more comfort around this whole process.
So what else might you, when you're looking at it from an effective program, what else should a board be looking at?
Yeah, I think there's a few key elements. And one, obviously the most important thing is make sure that there's no form of retaliation. And again, that gets back to people being comfortable coming forward and comfortable reporting sensitive matters. I think it's good for a company to have a playbook. So if and when something arises, what is the protocol in place? How do we follow that protocol, and who's responsible for it? The other thing is that a lot of these things tend to be siloed. So the easy thing is to say that this is a legal or a compliance issue. In reality, it's a multidimensional issue. So involving folks from HR, involving folks from finance, operations. So I think making sure there's a broad view of who's involved and who helps to remediate and manage some of these issues. And I think, getting to the information that comes out of the hotline, that is a very rich data source. And I think trying to understand and get behind what the themes and trends are and really think about what the root causes of some of those issues are. So the worst thing, from our perspective, looking at some of this information would be seeing repeat issues, seeing repeat findings. I think to the extent you were seeing those, that might point to potentially ineffective areas of the program. The other thing is make sure you create a learning environment so that the program is self-fulfilling, right? What you have an issue, you investigate the issue, you learn from that issue, and there could be a series of trainings and other things that come out of that so that you feed in and you're better for it going forward. Those would be a few of the things I would think top of mind.
So from your experience, is it most typically the audit department that's or audit committee, the first sort of line of reporting that sort of gets the whistleblower incidents?
Most often we would see the audit committee looking at these things, and I know we've had some good conversations with audit committee members around the types of information they get and the format of the information, but I think it's also making sure that they're seeing the right information, so that they can make a decision and get comfort around how the program is operating.
Well, Matt, we had mentioned FCPA, and I'd actually like you to hang around a little bit because we don't have time in this show to cover it, but I really would like to have a conversation because that's seems like such a big issue, particularly with the fines, and you even mentioned the international part of that, and
Yes.
That's obviously the big issue with that. But I wanted to thank you, but I'm not going to let you leave yet, and we'll ask our audience to stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll do another segment, but that will conclude this particular segment. We hope you enjoyed this. We'll again be back again next week. We're going to take a look at the FCPA, so hopefully you'll tune in then. Thanks.
Join us again next week for Inside America's Boardroom, brought to you with Knowledge Partners, Diligent, PwC, Center for Audit Quality, Spencer Stewart, the Conference Board, and corporate board members, along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, Donnelly Financial Solutions, and the Society for Corporate Governance.